And it's great to be with you this afternoon. First up, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has increased its policy rate, the rate at which it lends to commercial banks, by 1% to 28%. Addressing the media, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Addison noted that the action is needed to deal with inflationary pressures and some of the current challenges facing the economy. Take a listen.
The concerns being expressed in the public domain relating to high government expenditures have been addressed in the SLA and reflected in the 2023 budget. The SLA is also contingent on the domestic debt exchange program and external debt restructuring, which, when concluded and the necessary financial commitments obtained, would allow the presentation of the SLA to the IMF board. The MPC believes that these measures will help restore fiscal and debt sustainability and bring down inflation, as well as help stabilize the currency. In the interim, the MPC sees the need to remain vigilant and moderate liquidity in the system to underpin the macroeconomic adjustments taking place to drive inflation on a downward path. Under the circumstances, the committee decided to increase the policy rate by 100 basis points to 28%. Thank you.
All right, Central Bank Governor Dr. Addison addressing the press a while ago. Mind you, there were some others who expected the hike to be much higher than the 100 basis points that was just announced. Joy Business Assistant Editor George Afe has been monitoring the announcement by the Central Bank on the policy rate and other matters. He joins us from the Bank of Ghana. George, what are the reasons the governor attribute for the policy rate hike?
Fiscal measures that government is putting in place right now and try and stabilize the economy. The governor of the Bank of Ghana also argues that inflation being around 50%, it's not anything that is good, and these measures need to be taken now
to try and bring the situation under control, because the concern was that inflation might have peaked, so maybe we should be seeing some cut in the monetary policy rate. But the governor believes that this, together with the debt exchange program, which has been done.
All right, we seem to have a bit of a challenge connecting with George. His audio is not very good from where he is. But the news this afternoon, the Central Bank, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank has increased its policy rate by 100 basis points to 28%. And the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Addison, we heard him a while ago citing inflationary pressures. We are going to speak with George on the phone. So, George, what other reasons did the Central Bank Governor sign for the policy rate hike?
Well, if I can hear you, Daryl, I mean, what I'm just trying to explain is that it has to do with trying to stabilize or complement other measures by the Bank of Ghana to try and stabilize the situation. And that is why the policy rate was actually hiked at this point as well. And Daryl, if we should move to other issues as well, the governor of the Bank of Ghana talked about the fact that they believe that this and other measures that they are putting in place could also help stabilize the local currency. There was also a question about what is the Bank of Ghana doing to try and help the commercial banks that will be hit by this debt exchange program. Well, the governor argued that apart from government-owned stabilization fund or financial stability fund that will be put in place for the whole financial sector, the Bank of Ghana would also be putting their own support system in place to try and deal with the situation. And they believe that all these measures that they are putting in place, Daryl, would help and deal with the situation. But interestingly, I have a banking consultant, and also Champon with me here, to try and also share his thoughts about his decision on the policy rate hike and also going forward, how that could help the situation. And I'll be joining me to try and deal with the situation in terms of what is being done and What is his comment on that one, Daryl? So quickly, I'm running to another point to get his thoughts on it. And interestingly, some are saying that it was expected, and now we're seeing the policy rate being hiked by 100 basis points. Let me first get your preliminary thoughts on this policy rate hike by the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana.
Yeah, it was expected because the Bank of Ghana is practicing inflation targeting. And therefore, inflation has to move in tandem with interest rates to be able to bring inflation down. And therefore, with inflation rising to 54%, there was no alternative than to hike interest rates as a check against rising inflation.
It's quite an interesting time, and the government believes that this would also help complement other fiscal measures in trying to stabilize the economy. What are your thoughts on that one as well?
Well, again, it boils down to discipline. The measures are there. If you're able to implement, then we will stay within the fiscal policies that have been in place and continue to be in place. So, therefore, if we can discipline ourselves and ensure that we stick to the policy line, then it will be all well and good.
Are you convinced the Bank of Ghana governor gives another assurance about the outlook for the city? Because some are worried about the impact of whether the Bank of Ghana will get the required balance of payment support come in time from the IMF. The governor gave the assurance that all other things being equal by the end of the first quarter, something should come in from the IMF. Convinced, assured, or what?
I cannot challenge him. And therefore, if he says so, he knows more than you and I do. And he's looking through and saying that it will come through. So we just have to rest assured that his promise.
Again, there was also further assurance about what the Bank of Ghana is doing to help commercial banks in total that might be hit by this domestic debt action program. Again, the governor was also kind of assured that there is no need to be worried. We will do what we have to do to stabilize the situation as well. Are you also convinced by this assurance of the Bank of Ghana that don't be rest assured that we'll do what we have to do to bring the situation under control?
Yes, I think the stabilization fund that is being set up will complement that effort to ensure that where there's a capital call on any bank, if they cannot get it from their investors, then they should be able to get it from the government. And, to take your mind back a bit, this happened in the banking crisis of 2007, 2008 in the UK, where the government came in and lent money to all the banks except Barclays.
The banks except Barclays Bank, which refused to take it. So as long as the banks here are ready to take the money from the stabilization fund, things should be okay.
Well, so Daryl, you heard the banking consultant, Anoto Champon, giving us his thoughts on this whole from the governor of the Bank of Ghana. Well, if there are no further questions, over to you, Daryl.
All right, George Afi, thank you so much for the update from the Bank of Ghana premises where the governor has been addressing the press. Well, the Bank of Ghana says it has reached an agreement with the Finance Ministry to commit to zero financing of this year's budget and subsequent ones. The proposed macroeconomic policy is a precondition for the country securing a fund program from the IMF. Now, speaking at the launch of the 60th anniversary celebrations by the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, head of banking supervision at the Bank of Ghana, JC, said the move is also necessary to contain the country's rising debt as well as control inflation.
With inflation currently at 54.1%, tight monetary policies are expected to contain the persistent price shocks in the economy and ease inflationary pressures. Monetary financing of the government deficits, which was pursued to prevent domestic defaults arising from systemic auction failures during 2022, will end under the program. To achieve this, the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance will commit to zero financing of the budget in 2023 and beyond. The implementation of these prudent macroeconomic policies is expected to trigger a disinflation path and downward trends in the policy rate, as well as restore the country's reserve buffers to at least 3 months of import cover by end 2025. When inflation decelerates, to single digits, we expect real interest rates to be between 3 to 4% and nominal interest rates to range between 11 to 12% over the entire course of the program.
Next, some news that would interest you if you invest in T-bills. Following significant progress with the domestic debt exchange program, government's T-bills by sale was oversubscribed significantly by 60.6%. In what looks to be a rebound in investor confidence, Patrick Edamagama is head of trading at Republic Securities. He joins us on phone. And Patrick, looks like last Friday ended pretty well for the sale of T-bills.
Hello.
Hi, Patrick. So I was just making a point about how the auction ended last Friday. 60.6% oversubscription.
Yes, on the money market, yes, we saw that oversubscription. This was largely due to the lower target. If you look at the relative figures, you see that it's because of the lower target and then also the excess liquidity that's in the system. Based on the excess liquidity, we were expecting even more because of the cocoa bills that were paid and also the coupon payments that hit the market against lack of other instruments or other competing instruments to take those liquidity. We saw the 91-day closing significantly higher at 35.71, but we saw a drop in the 182-day that closed slightly lower at 35.76. The 365-day bill also closed higher at 35.81. And again, the 91-day dominated the total bid. That was about 68.5% against 24.8 and 6.8% for the 182-day and the 364-day bill.
All right. I don't know what you're reading into this. Is it indication investors trust the assurances from the government not to touch T-bills as part of debt restructuring? So it looks like the doubts are now over.
No, not completely over. There's some level of confidence, but, you know, comparing what happened last week, the excess liquidity, the amount of money that hit the market, in fact, this should have been more. So if the confidence is really up, we should expect government to be able to raise even more than 2.5 billion easily. But the target for last week was about 1.278 billion Ghana cedis, compared to 2.4 billion that was raised the previous week. So we still expect more confidence to be able to get government more money. But considering where things are going now, we expect government to do more to increase the confidence in the market.
Anything else happening on the money market we should be updated on?
Well, for this week, government is targeting 1.2 billion on the 91-day, 182-day, 365-day bill. Depending on how the debt exchange closes and depending on what happens to the market afterwards, it's going to affect what happens in this particular issue. So we are keenly waiting on what happens tomorrow and the day after to see if government is going to meet their target and then if individuals will be affected or not and all that. So what will happen this week will affect what happens at the end of the week.
All right. I just want us to quickly touch on the stock market before you go. So we are getting indication Benzo Oil Palm Plantation will be leading or is expected to lead gainers this week. What's the market looking like?
Well, yes, Benzo Oil Palm has been showing some trends of upward rise. What is happening is that there's interest mounting every time, and due to the limited supply on the market, we expect the price to go up further. Other stocks like Kwaw, GCB, Cow, Unilever, and Palm Milk saw some decline last week, and I expected to even decline further this week. We saw some decline for New Gold ETF as well, losing about 3.55 Ghana cedis last week. Although investors perceive gold as a safe haven, this particular decline happened last week. So let's see how that will happen again this week. Total has also been seeing some traction. As of today, Total saw some rise in price. So we hope the market will close with that rise.
Okay.
Let's see how it happens to close the week.
Patrick Edem-Agama there, Head of Trading at Republic Securities. I appreciate your time with us. Now, former President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, ICAG, Albert Kandapa, has urged the Institute to adopt new technologies to remain relevant in the changing trend of accounting methods. Mr. Kandapa, who is also National Security Minister, spoke at the launch of the 60th anniversary celebrations of ICAG. There's more in the following report.
The former president of the ICAG urged the institute to consolidate the gains made in the past and create a future that guarantees hope for subsequent generations. According to him, failure by the institute to adopt new technologies could lead to its retrogression.
The world and the entire accountancy profession have evolved from the realms within which the founding fathers operated to a horizon, a new horizon, characterized by technological advancement in a rapid and an uncertain manner. The pursuit of sustainability for the Institute, and by extension the accountancy profession, must therefore be undergirded by our ability to embrace change arising from new technologies while adapting to new realities.
Chairman of the ceremony and Executive Chairman of Lily Gold Oil Company Limited, Oheneba Akwesi Abiye, described the institute as a trailblazer in the accounting profession after taking over from the Institute of Chartered Accountants, England and Wales.
Willingly, the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales supported the examinations for a decade, from 1968 to 1978, until eventually handed over the baton to the then administration at the Institute. The rest is generous history. Today, therefore, is a very important day in the calendar of the history of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. We can all say with pride that in the past 60 years, the Institute has blazed the trail and become a professional icon, both locally and internationally. You will agree with me that it is time for all of us to give ourselves a deserving round of applause for this significant achievement.
President of the ICAG, Senna Dake, for her part, touted the Institute's achievements over the past 60 years.
It has been 60 years of providing accountancy training at both technician and professional levels, through which we have produced competent professional accountants to man finances of our country and beyond. It's been 60 years of hard work and promoting adherence to international financial reporting and public sector accounting standards. It's been 60 years of making ICA Ghana part of the worldwide standard setting process. It's been 60 years of regulating practice of accounting in Ghana to promote confidence and trust in the financial system and economy at large, both locally and globally.
Meanwhile, Head of Banking Supervision at the Bank of Ghana, Osei JC, commended the ICAG for its key contribution to the domestic debt exchange program. He therefore hinted at formal engagements between both regulatory entities to influence policy direction.
In line with your theme, specifically nurturing partnership, I wish to commend the Institute for the key role it played in the process leading to the implementation of the DDE program. Your commitment and critical input to the entire process has helped to navigate the uncharted path and contributed to the implementation of the DDEP. Such collaborative efforts are critical for national development, and I am hopeful that in the near future, the Bank of Ghana will formally engage the Institute to help institutionalize and nurture our partnership to influence policy direction.
The launch of the ICAG 60th anniversary celebrations was graced by the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Nuhu Sharubutu. It was themed promoting sustainability, deepening trust, and sharing partnerships.
We want to talk to you next about the utility tariff hikes, and apprentices in the haircare business are aborting their plans of setting up their own ventures. They blame it on the upward adjustment of electricity tariffs. Existing entrepreneurs are also adjusting their service charges to sustain their businesses. Lab FM's Mona Lisa Frimpong speaks with haircare professionals who say their new charges have affected patronage.
In Primary 6, Philip Nati developed the skill for barbering. Now an apprentice, he has plans to set up his own venture, but high electricity bills and the instability deter him.
Like it's not the hair now being jiska normal and I normally on one day I can't want you say a unit you'll be able to make you come up. Babana air condition fan like TV. Normal me be you team ama wa we are no charging kosho.
Away from his workplace, Philip goes by the traditional way of barbering, using comb and razor only. These do not require the usage of electricity.
Yeah, I was using the comb, like just the comb and a blade. But some of my friends, it's not only me that I was saving. I used to shave. Some of them use you have a chargeable machine that you can use to shave. So they use that one. But as for me, I only use the comb and then blade.
After 5 years of apprenticeship, Fatih Mubarak, a hairdresser, is unable to set up her own venture. With the rising cost of hair products and instability in water supply, she is shifting her focus from hair care to nail technique services. A week ago, customers within parts of the Ashanti region searched tirelessly for ECG prepaid credit to power their electricity meters. The issue has been resolved by the Electricity Company of Ghana, but business owners say the unstable power access is not new.
But nyame ya adoma adwuma no beba no na kanea ni ho sese kanea no kra so eni wo na kanea no so ba na sese wu kreska but wunya kanea kra so ntomfanya adwuma.
Many are planning to pass on the new cost to customers. The hair care workers already say their customers have reduced visits to salons.
Then you, the worker, you have to also it's going to be better a year now being so maybe we are over 20 cities or say make sure say we are almost electricity maybe I want you maybe already 22 cities.
Is can anyone Siska or one will be first no will be able washing it every week time be a be wash home 2 times a week. But it's can anyone in no. Be or cry comments no ban washing it. A comment now ban on washing it no the be a catanity to no them. It's a which number.
But others say they are unbothered paying more for utilities if they are assured of stable electricity.
Yeah, no, see, yeah, Jumana say, light in the one, your bread pa. It is almost sent to Munobema light, no, Yanyani debia, the Jumadia, maybe if you send can to Mono, and said that ain't hammy, Messa, because I'll say, what the financing, yeah, Juma, Scawo, your copper light at all, you be a network and article.
Small business owners are urging the government to ensure efficient utility infrastructure and logistics management to save costs in these difficult times. For Joy Business, Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
And that's the marketplace. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. You get the day's latest from over there. My name is Daryl. Kwaw. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time tomorrow.